Thanks for watching Blitz. I'm Brian Carter here at Tallulah Falls School, and I'm with Brandy Corbett, head coach of the basketball program. Brandy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. And, this team hit a new high last year, making it to the Sweet 16, first time in school history, I believe. And talk about how, kind of on the tail end of that run, being close to getting to the Elite Eight, what that kind of does, the ripple effect from that. I'm sure it creates a lot of drive in what fuels this team this year.
Definitely. Last year, kind of going into the season, we had 3 goals. One was to try to have the first winning season ever for Tallulah Falls. They'd been 13-13 prior. And then our secondary goal was to make the state. And then third, because this has become such an important part of the game to me, is, how can we make these young ladies the best young women they can be by the end of the season and functioning well and performing at their highest with one another. And as a coach, it's always great when you can look back and say that you accomplished your goals, and it was a fantastic year. I think we even surprised ourselves a bit with our 18-11 finish, and really throughout the year, a lot of, I had to teach the girls an entire new system. We had 2 seniors that played and really bought into some of the changes that I wanted to make, and that's always a great thing to have happen when you've had players that have had another coach for 3 prior years, and it was a great finish for us, and something that we've certainly taken, and now we've got a baseline and want to move even further ahead this year with the season.
And you kind of hit on this. You had a one of those generational type talents in Nia Williams come through this program, and she was, might as well say, a 2,000-point scorer. She was like a bucket or 2 away, it seemed like.
That's
from hitting
right.
that. But what's it like trying to, as a coach, replace that? And I would argue to say I think this team even could be better this year, in a sense, and not a knock on her at all, but just being harder to stop now. But what's it like having to try to replace, or can you replace a 2,000-point scorer in aggregate or in pieces, or however you have to do that?
Well, definitely in pieces. Nia was a special young lady on the court and off the court. And one thing that I really appreciated about Nia is in the preseason, we really talked about what kind of team we can be, and I had some individual conferences with her. She really bought into, in order for the team to be the best, she had to support the younger players. And I think she did a really fantastic job of still kind of holding on to what her blessings were and playing her game at a high level, but also encouraging others and giving them opportunities. Nia is a leader, but one thing that I think she worked on and made a lot of improvements on is being a verbal leader. She was more of my example. And, I think whenever a team can diversify a little bit more, that makes things a little bit better in the sense that they're a little bit more difficult to stop. So while we are a very young team this year, in our first few games, we've had at least 3 people in double digits, sometimes 4. And so I think that it could be, by the end of the season, a place where no one is probably going to come in and be exactly like Nia. But as far as a team performance and everybody really kind of chipping in, I could see us having a lot more scores out of this team this year. Yeah,
and I'm glad you kind of hit on that just her unselfishness of being able to step back and kind of she could have put up a lot more points if she wanted to, but I think she kick-started where this team's going and being able to be harder to stop because you're not so one-dimensional.
That's right.
And so 2 of those players in particular, we could talk all day about all of them, I'm sure, but Lily Free and your daughter Katie Corbett as well. This team is really guard-heavy and has that, I guess, that ability to score from anywhere on the court almost, but talk about how powerful that is for this team to run high tempo like that.
Well, we really do have a lot of players that can play the 1 through 5 position, and there are many times last week we started 5 guards, and the thing about Lily and Katie is they are able to play with their backs to the basket and certainly can score from the outside, but we also have some other players that have a good vertical and are really kind of learning. They like to drive to the basket, so they kind of complement Katie and Lily's style. So really excited about just, I think for Class A, the athleticism that we possess. We have a little bit more depth than we have historically. And when I really like to press with our defense sort of going over and spilling in our offense, it's great to have, 5 pretty quick athletic guards. We've got a couple of kids like Katie and Lily who are kind of rangy. They get their hands on a lot of balls. Some of our younger players, 2 freshmen that we have starting, just really quick, so able to get to a lot of things. So you know, as high school coaches, we sometimes have to run systems based on what we have.
Yeah.
And I tend to really like to run an up tempo, up and down. Let's really guard you heavily in the full court setting. And these girls kind of play into that type of style. And so I really enjoy allowing us to play like I really like to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of maybe already hit on this. Sounds like you already did. But what are the biggest areas of focus you think you put on this team? Because from an outsider looking at some of y'all's tape from last year and then early this season, it looks like there's a lot of emphasis put on the defensive end. Is that fair to say?
Some people that know me may have a hard time believing that, but yes, that's the case. One thing about our team this year is that we are almost half and half of players that returned from the team last year. Now, not players that were on the court a lot. We really we played kind of 6 players last year, and we only have 2 of those that have returned for graduation, other reasons. So we did not have half of our team this summer. So we are having to implement an entire system now that the season has started. And that's proven to be a challenge I've really kind of never faced before. Some of the younger kids that we have, I like it, that they like to play abstract. They're very good at just some of the instinct parts of the game that I find that some girls struggle with. They're not robotic at all. They're not accustomed to being in organized, really offense or defensive scheme. So what I'm trying to do really is honor those are their blessings, and we don't want to take those away. But how can they play in an organized format when we're required to be in a half-court set? And so that's been really interesting because that's just not what they're accustomed to playing. They're freshmen, they're younger, and I've had to employ a great deal of patience because they're great kids, but we're just having to put in a whole new system. And last year I had to do that. And I was hopeful we would come into this season and we would know, kind of how we wanted to function. And it's ended up that the last few weeks, we just had practice 2 days ago where all we did was run through offenses because we just don't know them that well yet.
Well, it seems like a lot of them are doing well on the fly. And so through that, you're 2-2 through the first 4 games. So what kind of confidence have you kind of found in the team and maybe that they're grasping those things you want them to get early on?
Again, really interesting. Not only are we dealing with a team that's got a lot of young players, but they weren't with us during the summer. And so we really, not only do they not really know the system, but we're learning each other, what each other's strengths are, what each other's blessings are. They're learning about me as a coach. And so I could not be more pleased with how well they're getting along and working with one another and being unselfish. I mean, to me, in the girls' game, that's one of the bigger challenges.
And you can't coach it sometimes.
You're right. And, I'm a school counselor, but sometimes I've really at times had to employ that skill or at least try to with the teams that I've had. So I'm really happy with how well we've embraced one another, that we're willing to, kind of take the younger kids underneath their wings. Lily and Katie play fantastic with one another since Lily, of course, is a senior and Katie's a junior. Since we came here on campus, Lily's been great with Katie, and they've played volleyball every season together and basketball. They, the way that they see each other on the floor, pick and roll, they do a fantastic job. But I've been really pleased with how well they've taken some of the younger kids under their wing and really just promoted a sense of, hey, we welcome you here. We want you to be a part. And so it's been a lot of fun so far, even though we're 2-2, and that is not very fun for me at all.
No, but it could be a lot worse.
It could be. It could be.
There's definitely a lot to be excited about. We're glad basketball season's back. I know you are as well, and we can't wait to see how the rest of the season unfolds and wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Brian, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for coming out and seeing us today.
Thank you.